What's up, everybody? It's your boy Tino here, guys, and you guys know it's Thursday. There's no wrestling on, and you guys know what that usually means. We're here to talk some MLB baseball. And if you guys did not see earlier, last night, the White Sox game got postponed. So they're playing two today. So we had to have a little bit of a schedule change, and we had to do the show a little bit earlier today because we started an hour, and nobody wants to watch Tino while the White Sox are on. They'd rather watch the White Sox. But do we really want to watch the White Sox, guys? Because last week we were talking, Justin, Deech, and I, and Oakland was coming to town. We were going to Oakland, I should say. We were feeling a little better, hoping they were going to do it. And I said that it was going to be a trap series. And it exactly was that. They lost 2 out of 3. They lost on the 4th of July. And now we have the doubleheader today. So there's a lot to get to today on this episode. And sadly, because of the schedule change, our guy Deech and Justin were not able to get off of work and not be able to get off on time. So Tino had to call in some reinforcements, guys, because Tino can't do these White Sox episodes alone. And I don't know if you guys really want to sit here and listen to me rant for 45 minutes about, So we called some reinforcements, and we got a special guest here today. So he's a first-time guest here on Tino's Time, guys. He is as big as a White Sox fan as I am, and I hope he's not having as much pain as I am, because maybe he can give me some advice on how to deal with this crazy team. But, guys, let's not waste no time, and let's welcome Rick Boggs. I hopefully I said that right. I told you
you combine Rick Hahn with Wade Boggs. No, Drew Boggs. Yep. What's going on?
I told you I knew I'd say it wrong. It's like as soon as I get talking and everything. But man, welcome to the show. I appreciate you coming on, taking over for Deech and Justin. They weren't able to make it, so I appreciate you stepping in so I don't do the show alone. So since this is your first time here on the show, I figured I'd ask you a few questions before we get to talking about what's going on this year. Who is your favorite White Sox player of all time? How'd you kind of become a White Sox fan? And how many games have you been to? Because I feel like you're one of those guys that goes to a lot of games.
Well, I used to go to a lot of games when I was growing up. So, I mean, I grew up a Sox fan, became a fan when I was in 2002 as a kid. Jermaine Dye is my favorite player. The Game 4 of the World Series sealed it. Played right field when I was growing up. I played right field, so just I enjoy watching him play and watching all the highlights of him when he hit his 300th home run. I got to watch that live while I was in school. That was one of the coolest things. Grew up in Northwest Indiana, so of course Southside, so I had to be a Sox fan. And I don't go to as many games as I used to, because now I live in Fort Wayne, Indiana, so about 3.5 hours away. But my wife and I get out to a couple games a year. We're going to one this weekend, and we got one next month that we're going to go to as well. But kids and dogs and life gets in the way, so we don't get to go to as many. But I've been a White Sox fan for as long as I can remember. Growing up with this team, I was lucky enough that when I started becoming a fan, they were starting to get good and winning the World Series in like your true first year of fandom as a kid was one of the greatest experiences I got to ever do. And go to the summer at the ball games with my dad. My dad was a season ticket holder for 6 years when I was in high school and throughout college until my brother graduated high school. Just being able to go to games has been always a treat. I always say U.S. Cellular, now Guaranteed Rate Field, is my second home.
All the time. That's what I say too. I just went on the 4th of July. Sadly, they lost, and I said it, I'm like, it's my second home. It's just something about that ballpark, man.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. You walk in there, and I said it when I walked in. The smell of the hot dogs and the concession, and so I don't know. And it brings you back to memories of like going to games like with your dad and like kids, and when it was U.S. Cellular and the blue seats. Like I have a picture of me and my mom and dad going with the blue seats, and I was like, I was there at least. I got a picture to prove it. So it's like, I'm the same way. I've been going to games forever. And I remember watching Jermaine Dye hit that single, Willie Harris scoring the winning run. And I just, it's still the picture in my head of me standing in my living room. We had a giant big box TV, hearing the fireworks go off. It still gives me chills to this day. And it's kind of a funny segue to get into what's going on this year, because we were supposed to be winning championships, Drew. We were promised this. We were promised this parade. We were promised all these rings. 2020, it's going to be the year. Yohan Moncada, number one prospect, Eloy and season, and it hasn't went that way at all. They had 2 good years. 2020 was good. They won the division, and then I don't think they won the division. It was 21. They won the division. 2020, they made it by the wild card because it was the extra wild card. And then
Yep.
2021 is when they won the division, but they couldn't get past Oakland. And then they won. Well, at least we'll always have the Lori Garcia game. I forget who says it in our group chat, but they're like, we got that. Is it that's not you, is it?
No. That's not me. No.
I was like, I hope it's not. I was like, okay, but I mean, man, at least we'll always have that game. But this year, I said last year, me and Deech have said it because Deech was out on the show last year. He's been on the show almost every time this year, except a couple times. And we thought last year would be the worst. We thought it could get better, and it's gotten worse.
Yeah.
They are 37 and 50. I don't even know anymore. They are 13 games under 500, 7.5 games out of first place. And last week, me, Deech, and Justin were just talking about them being possibly 2.5 games out because last week we won 2 out of 3 against the Red Sox. Feeling good. We're going and playing the worst team in the MLB, the Oakland Athletics. Listen, nothing against the Athletics, Moneyball, doing their thing. They had a few good years and everything like that. I got no hate for the Athletics, but they're just not a good baseball team. And they go out and score 7 runs a game. They win 2 out of 3. And we barely won the last game, and we won by 1 run, and Clinton Frazier fell down and almost cost us the game. And then he barely caught the last ball. And it's like,
exactly.
How do we do this? And I've talked about it through it all year long about just how do these guys find new ways to lose every day? And they play up to their competition for years. It's always you could beat the Yankees and the Red Sox, but you can't beat the Royals and the Tigers. Or you could beat the best team in baseball, but you can't beat the worst team in baseball. And it's like, how are you losing 3 out of – like I was looking at it today, and I'll let you talk in a minute because I'm sorry. I keep talking.
You're good.
I like – them just losing the 3 out of 4 to the Royals and Tigers. That's 6 games right there that they lost to 2 of the, yes, the Tigers are playing a little bit better, but the Royals are awful. The Royals can't do anything to save their life.
Yeah.
And it's so bad. So now that I did all that and everything like that, how do you feel about this season? And are you as frustrated as I am and everything? And let me ask you this. Was the Oakland series the last nail in the coffin? Because Justin said it on one of his picks to click video. He said, I'm done. So how are you feeling just overall with everything? And then we'll talking about everything else.
Yeah, it's ironic right now that my 10-month-old son just started crying downstairs because that's how all White Sox fans feel. We were supposed to have the parade. We were supposed to win the World Series last year. I always come into the season with high expectations. I was like a change of regime, a manager not falling asleep. But then it all just comes back to management. Kenny Williams and Rick Hahn, it comes back to them. And, the whole rebuild from 16 to 2020 and in Hahn we trust. I almost bought one of those shirts. I'm glad I didn't. But it was just it's just been a terrible time of how the White Sox are playing, not only in the major leagues, but even in the farm system, because the farm system was completely depleted when we had one of the best farm systems in baseball. And we kept talking about, wait till Luis Robert comes up, wait till Eloy Jimenez comes up. Wait till we get Yoel Moncada. Wait till we get so-and-so. And it's just we've all been promised so much that as White Sox fans, we live on the hopes and dreams of promise. And honestly, it's all Chicago teams right now. The Bulls, all hope and promise. The Bears, right now, all hope and promise. So Bears fans, you should understand what happens after. I'm just going to leave that little bit in there.
No, you're absolutely right. And that's my fear with football. I haven't not talked about football here on the show and since the Super Bowl. We went live for the Super Bowl. That was the last time we've really talked about football. And that's the thing. I don't want to say it, but that's why I don't want to get too excited. But because you're absolutely right. Yeah. I say it all the time. It's all these Chicago teams. They're all run by the same people. Jerry runs the Bulls and the White Sox. We see how the Bulls are. And so, I mean, it just – so keep going. Go ahead.
No, you're good. But, I mean, I picked them to go to the ALCS just because I was like, it might just not be the players. It just had to be a management and a fundamentals and a whole spring training we're talking about. Pedro Grifol saying, we're going to be prepared to kick your ass. He literally said that to everyone. And everyone was like, this is my guy. This is my dude. And now Pedro Grifol is like, well, I taught them everything in spring training. I don't know what's going on. So it has to be the players. I mean, this is our fourth different manager. You have to count the guy who was the interim last year. It's not working with the management. It has to be the players. Luis Robert Jr. cannot be the only player who's doing well. Granted, I will give Yoel Moncada a break. He's got a back injury. As a person who's had a couple back injuries from weightlifting, you understand your back hurts. You can't move. That's one of the most difficult things to do. You watch The Last Dance with Scottie Pippen when he's up and down the floor of Game 6 in 1998. That's a real thing. You have to give Yoel Moncada some credit on that. He's trying to work through a back injury and understand. Have someone punch you in a few times in the lower back,
Oh,
and then try and bend over quickly. Then you'll
oh,
understand what
it
what
hurt
Kyle's
me
going
just
through a little
thinking
bit.
about it. Like my back
Yeah.
started hurt. Like I was just feeling like pain. I'm like, and it just, and people forget too,
Yeah.
Joe Creedy, best
Yep.
defensive third baseman probably ever for the Chicago White Sox. That's how big of a White Sox
Yep.
fan I am. And there's people that don't even remember Joe Creedy for the White Sox, which is kind of crazy. And
Oh, I
he had
remember
the
him
same
coming back
problem.
and playing on the Twins. I remember him playing on the Twins,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Oh gosh, Joe Creedy's here." And
Yeah.
thankfully, I was at my buddy's house. We were just playing games, and I was like, "Okay, cool. The White Sox are on." But I mean, it's even the pitching staff. The pitching staff has underperformed. It's supposed to be a whole new regime, and it just needs to be torn down from the studs. It just needs to be torn down. I mean, I think the only 3 players I wouldn't trade are, and this is painful because I'm a Lucas Giolito lover. You don't trade Dylan Cease. You don't trade Luis Robert, and you don't trade Andrew Vaughn. Those are the only untouchable players, in my opinion. And everyone's like, "Well, Andrew Vaughn isn't as good as Jose Abreu." Have you looked at the stats? Andrew Vaughn is leading the team in RBIs. Yes, he's slower. Yes, he's a little faster than Yasmani Grandal. I'd love to see Yasmani and Andrew Vaughn in a race, but it's just
Oh my
these
God.
guys are
Great
the
television.
cornerstones. Yes, it would be great televisions, but those guys are your cornerstones. That's the 3 that you can build around. Even I don't think you can trade Liam Hendricks. I think he's untradeable just because of how much he's embraced the community and how much he's loved. And I don't want Liam Hendricks to be traded. But if someone calls and they're like, "Hey, we're going to give you our top 3 prospects for Liam Hendricks," you have to listen to it and you have to consider, hey, where are we at? I mean, 7.5 games in the worst division is just trash. And it doesn't make any sense where Rick Hahn comes out before the 4th of July, before the game that you
Oh
went to.
my God.
Oh, this is the only year that we can predict. This is the only year that we can control. This is the only year that we can do anything. Yes, it's normal Rick Hahn speak. And yes, he has to try and sell to the fans and to sell to people, be like, hey, still come to the ballpark. We're trying. We're doing this. But there's only 25 days left until the trade deadline. That's how long we have to deal with this. I'm pretty sure it's 25 days. But it's just, it's insane. Yeah, it's insane how much we have to deal with this crap. And if the trade deadline comes and goes, last year we were excited for them to make one move and it was trash. This year it might be, who knows? It might just be trading Lucas Giolito, who my son's named after Lucas Giolito. That's how big of a White Sox fan I am. But it's just, I don't want to see Lucas go. He's been our best pitcher all year. And if we sell him, it's the white flag. And I keep going back to, I think it was 2021 when we made all those good trades that we thought were good trades. Craig Kimbrell, don't even want to mention this. Like Cesar Hernandez.
Oh my God.
Ryan Tepera. Yeah, it just gave me the exact, because I remember mowing my backyard and was just like listening to trade talks, and I was just like, "Oh, we got him!" and just going to Lowe's so happy, and I'm just fertilizing and I'm smiling and burning heat, and everyone's like, "What's this crazy dude doing?" But that same year, the Braves retooled everything and won themselves a World Series at the trade deadline. Maybe the White Sox can do it.
They rebuilt their whole outfield. Like,
yes.
What team does that in the middle of the season?
I don't know. It was insane.
And that's the thing, like, that's the biggest thing about like all of this, with like all of the things that they're talking about and all the things that they're talking about doing. Rick Hahn's coming out and he doesn't want to make up a decision because he doesn't want to give up on this, but he needs to realize that he messed up. He didn't get the right players. Like when the Sox got rid of Chris Sale, I was just talking to Deech, because me and Deech were talking before the show. He called me and I was telling him how like I was in school, and when we got Yohan Moncada, I was like, damn, Chris Sale's gone. But then I started looking at Moncada's stats, and then we got Kopech and everything like that. And it's like, with Moncada, like I was talking about with Joe Creedy earlier, like that's like that. There's nothing you could do about it. Like he wants to go out there and play. Yeah, he'd be out there if he could. And back injuries are awful. I think the biggest thing with Moncada is he's been hurt so much that people are just like, But if this was one of like the first injuries, I feel like people would have been giving him more slack. And it just like that's been the other problem with this team is the injuries, and the injuries have been awful with every guy not being able to stay on the field. And the fact that now like we are kind of staying on the field a little bit besides Moncada and stuff. Anderson can't hit anything. He's batting under 300. Eloy doesn't know. I forgot what happened to Eloy. And Robert, the home run that he hit and the way he, like, I had to rewatch that like 10 times because that was just ridiculous. And I didn't realize like how like he knew that was gone like right away. Like that was like, because, when you're sitting there at the game, sometimes you can't really tell and people are yelling. And I was just happy we had the lead. And, we saw today another guy, Joe Kelly, went on the injured list. And maybe that was why he pitched and gave up the 200-run home run to Vlad Guerrero on Tuesday. But then why was he in the game? And we talk about Pedro, too. we're going to go out there and kick our ass. I remember I was doing the same thing. I was walking into Walmart smiling like an idiot. So I'm like, we're going to go in there and kick our ass. And the White Sox give me some different type of a high or something when they win games.
Yep.
Like if they came out and win 2-2 today somehow, I'd be on the biggest high of highs. But it's like, what does it matter? Because the best we could be is 6 games out. And that's right back to where we were at a couple days ago. And they can never get like past that. Like last year, I said they were above 500, and this year they're above 10 games under. They just don't want to get over that. And it's like you said with Lucas too, it's like you don't want to see him go. And I have like a couple of his bobbleheads. I met him at Sox Fest the first year we got him. Nobody was in line for this guy. He was sitting alone. And me and my friend just went up. We got his autograph and everything like that. And it's like, it sucks to see these guys go. Like Abreu, like I have Abreu's jersey, I have Abreu's bobbleheads, I have like 10 of them, and I look at it and I'm like, damn, like he's on the Astros now. And that's like what we thought we were winning championships with these guys. I was like, I'm gonna have the 2022 World Series team. I'm like, Mom, I'm gonna get their autographs, I'm gonna get their jerseys signed. And it's like, it's not even gonna matter now because none of them are gonna be anything besides guys that will go to another team and do great like every other guy does. And there's a guy nobody's really talked about, but does anybody see what the hell Jake Diekman's doing on Tampa Bay Rays? This man sucks.
He's unstoppable. Yeah,
unstoppable. Chuck said he came, or Ryan or Chuck, one of them said on one of the podcasts that I listened to, they said he's come in 3 straight games, 3 straight strikeouts, 9 batters up, 9 batters down, 9 strike. It's just like, do the Sox is that the team the Sox are where the guys go to die? Because that's the thing, like what type of value are we really going to get for some of these guys and everything like that? So we will talk a little bit about that a little bit later and everything, but I do want to get to the actual series that's going on now. I want to get to the Cardinal series and everything like that. So for your prediction we'll just get the predictions for today right out of the way. What do you think we do today with the 2 games that we got? Starting at 4:10, we got Lance Lynn starting the first game, and then we got Jesse Schultz starting the second game. So how do you feel about this?
I mean, I like it. I like the matchup against Jose Barrios. I mean, everyone knows 2021, Gavin Sheets sends everyone home. That's why Gavin Sheets is in the lineup right now today because he hits Jose Barrios so well. And I mean I think it's his sweeper that he throws, or one of his pitches is it just drops down. But if he hangs one, it's gone, especially to left-handed pitchers or left-handed hitters. But Jose Barrios he can be a White Sox killer, but also he can be a White Sox ally in that because he leaves pitches up. 3.74 ERA, 8-6, a 1.20 WHIP. But I mean, he's striking out a lot of guys. But he does walk a good amount of people. But then you look at Lance Lynn's stats. I mean, 5-8, 6.47, a 1.5 WHIP. He's given up so much. But then you look at his strikeouts. He's still striking out everyone. For every hit, I know it makes 0 sense, but I think I said this to you before the pregame show. My wife is becoming a White Sox fan because I watch every game and everything that's going on, and I keep her in the loop because, I mean, when you live with someone, when you're married with someone, you live and die with everything that they're going. And she goes, "Hey, who's starting tonight?" Just because she knows when I say Lance Lynn, she goes, "That's a loss." So I think I want to say that the Sox win this game, but then the second game you don't really know. But I will say they're going to split 1-1. Somehow they're going to win 1 game today. That's all I'm going to say is 1-1. It could be the early game. It could be the late game. We can't say the late game because we don't know who's starting. It's going to be Tanner Banks. I'm hoping, but it's just they're going to split 1-1. I can't remember the last time the White Sox swept a doubleheader. I don't think it's ever happened in my lifetime. Yankees. It probably has. It
was the Yankees.
I'm sorry. No, we didn't sweep that doubleheader.
No, I thought we did.
We lost the late game. We lost the late game.
Didn't we win? No, we won it because Anderson hit the go-ahead home run. I always remember. I think that was the last one because I remember. I think that was like the turning point we all thought last year, and then it just didn't happen. I forget. Somebody in the chat. There's 7 people here. Deech, if you're here, let us know. When was the last time the White Sox swept a doubleheader? I think it was the Yankees, but if not, it was probably in 2020 when they were doing the 7-inning doubleheaders. Because if you remember, the Sox were like the best in doubleheaders in that time. They were like 12-5 or some crazy stat. For some reason, they were great in the 7-inning games. I don't know what the hell happened then. So
you're right. It was the Yankees last year, May 22nd. Both days, May 22nd. Graveman and Kopech both got the wins, 1-3-1 and 1-5-0. Man, that's just how pessimistic I am about this team. But it's I feel like everything is going wrong.
It's so sad. And that's the thing. And I agree with you. I think they at least got to pick up one. And it's sad because, again, like we're not. I don't really want to talk too much about the Oakland series because there's really not too much to say about it. They played bad baseball. They gave up 7 runs a game. They lost to the worst team in baseball. And thank God we just got one, because if we would have got swept by the Oaklands, that would have been just really bad, and I would have cried. So, I mean, I'm already crying as it is, and the frustration that goes through my body. It's funny because if you watch some of my live streams for wrestling, you could see my face because I'm watching the game here, and I'm watching the wrestling there, and you could see like how frustrated I get, and I try to hold it in, but I watch myself back, and I'm like, oh, there's when Joe Kelly gave up the home run, or oh, there's where Graveman lost the game, and it just I mean, it's nice. Hopefully they hit some home runs. Hopefully a couple guys are on base, and just please win one. It's funny. I was playing the show last night. We were talking about the show earlier, and I pitched with Lance Lynn. And the first inning, he gave up 3 runs. He didn't, and that was it. I was just like, well, it's like I was watching a game. Like, this is bull.
Exactly.
I'm like,
that happened to me earlier today when I was playing him against the Angels, and he gave up 5 runs. He gave up a run in the very first 3 innings, and I was just like, well, this game's over. And I somehow came back and won the game. But I want 2021 Lance Lynn back. I want not the postseason Lance Lynn, because all he did was serve up fastballs to the best fastball hitting team in the postseason. But just I want the positive Lance Lynn back. I love when he's on, when he's showing up to the crowd.
Oh, I know. It's just
he's so much fun to watch.
You know, and that's like the one thing, like we I don't know if you see, like Deech does the Middleton alerts all the time. Like, that's what Middleton has done. Sometimes he comes in and you see him screaming, or he's got that one picture where he's going like this. And it's like, that's the type of energy this team needs. Or like, I was even watching Seattle was announcing 2 guys that made it to the All-Star game and everything like that. And these guys are celebrating, all happy, throwing Gatorade. And you see the White Sox telling Robert, and you just see Eloy giving a handshake, and you see a couple pat. It's like, why are we not? I understand we're not doing good, but let's try to be semi-positive, and, you know, let's be good, happy for Mr. Luis Robert, because he's killing it. And we'll talk about it a little bit later. All-Star game, Mr. Robert is going to be in the home run derby, so I want to talk a little bit about that. But yeah, 1-1 most likely today. So let's hope that's the case. And let's just pray the Twins can lose the game, because I don't know if the Royals will learn how to play baseball, but I think, are the Twins off today? They think they might.
That's what I'm looking up right now.
Yeah, they are off today. Never mind. So we
can pick up a half game regardless.
Yeah, so let's pick up something, I guess. That's how I feel about it. So after we finish this series, we stay at home and we welcome. I can't even believe this team is as bad as they are. This team is the team that always comes out of nowhere. They start off bad and then they're in the playoffs in September. Doesn't look like that's going to happen this year. And it is those mighty St. Louis Cardinals, and they are 35-51. They're worse than the Sox because they have 51 losses, but that's not saying much. But I mean, the fact that they are this bad, like, it's kind of crazy. So on Friday, right? Yeah, Friday. I don't even know what day it is anymore. Friday, we got Dylan Cease taking on Jordan Montgomery. Jordan Montgomery is 6-7 with a 3.28 ERA. Dylan Cease is 3-3 with a 4.10 ERA. On Saturday, we don't have a pitching matchup. I'm assuming it will be a bullpen day for the White Sox because we have 2 pitchers on the IL. So we'll have to see. And then Sunday, too, they have no matchups. So it seems like it's a lot of that, and it makes me so mad because it's like I always say to myself, I'm like, could the White Sox just be at least good until at least like the Bears start? Because then at least football starts. I got fantasy football. We do the fantasy show here on Tuesdays. I'm live every Sunday for the games. At least like there's something else to look forward to besides the White Sox sucking every day. But it looks like the month of August is not going to be a very good month unless they somehow win 5 to 7 in a row. And again, it could happen. Anything's possible in baseball. But the way they showed, they ain't winning nothing. So
and I mean, the second half they start out at Atlanta, then at New York, then at Minnesota, then they come home and play the Cubs and the Guardians, and then that rounds out July for them.
Oh, gives me that just stresses me out because that means we have to deal with Josh Naylor, and then I got to listen to the Cubs fans in like the same week, and that's annoying. And then the Braves were doing great, and then they, and that's the thing. I always say it. It doesn't matter who you play. It matters when you play them, like Hawk always used to say.
Yep.
And it's one of those things like The worst, I want to make sure I say this before I forget. The worst thing that happened to the White Sox last week was the Oakland A's getting a no-hit and perfect game by the Yankees because it woke them up,
Yep.
and that's why they scored all the runs. I was thinking about, I'm like, it literally happened the day before, and all of a sudden they learned how to hit the baseball. That doesn't happen on Wednesday or Thursday, whatever the heck day that was. I bet you they at least win one more game because it woke Oakland up a little bit. But I wanted to say that before. And I don't know about you, but I always hate the Cubs series because the Cubs stress me out. And if we lose, I have too many Cub fans friends, and I don't want to listen to them. I always say, if the Sox can't be good, can we just at least have the White Sox beat the Cubs? So
exactly.
With the one pitching matchup we do have and the way the Cardinals are playing, again, who knows anymore. How do you feel and what do you think the White Sox do with the series against the Cardinals this weekend? Going into the All-Star break, because remember, guys, this is the last series before the All-Star break.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I will say, though, there is one correction. We do have Lucas Giolito is scheduled to start on Sunday. That is at least on ESPN.com. Yeah.
Okay,
but
yeah,
I mean, with the Cardinals,
my thing said nobody. So appreciate we got Lucas then on Sunday. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah, no problem. But I mean, the weird thing about the St. Louis Cardinals is that they have 10 players with a positive WAR. The White Sox have, I believe it's 7. And it doesn't make sense how this team is so bad. I mean, you can look at just their batting average leader is at 288. That's Brendan Donovan. Nolan Gorman leading the team in home runs. Nolan Arenado is leading the team in ribbies. And OBS is Brendan Donovan as well. And Paul Goldschmidt's has 93 hits. He's the hits leader. I mean, the team will go as far as the two corner infielders go. Paul Goldschmidt and Nolan Arenado are arguably the greatest third baseman of this decade. It's just it doesn't make any sense how this team is so bad.
And they got
you pick up Wilson Contreras. Yes. It makes zero sense. But then you look at their pitching staff, and give me a second to pull those up because I had everything up. It's their pitching staff that is getting them into difficult situations. They only have they've got a couple players who've got a 21 ERA. Granted, he's only played 2 games, but they've got just so many high ERAs. They don't have a player who's got a below 3 ERA. They've only got one player with a below 3 ERA, and the other 2 don't count because they've only played 1 or 2 games. But it's just their ERAs, their pitching is just serving up softballs to everyone. So I think if the White Sox can hit the good balls that are just put in front of them and put them into the seats, it'll be perfectly fine. But you have to be careful around Contreras, Goldschmidt, and Nolan Arenado. You have to be careful around them and pitch a little bit better. But it's showing that if this team gets behind, they haven't been able to come from behind. And the way that they lost last night was just embarrassing. That error, and the Marlins came around and scored.
I was just about to say, I was just about to bring it up, bro. They're finding worse ways to lose, and like the ways that they're losing it boggles my mind, and it's crazy. Like sometimes I feel like some of these guys just say like, let's chuck it. Like I just don't like some guys. I feel like they're just like, let's go home. I'm over this, and just say let's. Because how do you do that? Like I had to literally look up the play and watch it because I'm like, how does this even happen? So that's the thing. The Sox just need to find a way to take advantage of this and work around these guys and not just throw up fastballs and let these guys just hit bombs right down the middle. And, like Shohei Ohtani, I was looking at some and they showed all of his home runs and I literally saw like 8 White Sox pitchers. I'm like, this is bullcrap. So that's the biggest thing. And, they've seemed to taking care of Wilson Contreras a little bit from what I remember. Yeah. But I know he always had a few games where he whooped our butt, especially that one. You remember that one where Carson Fulmer's ass pitched and it was over after the first inning? I was just like, oh. So, I mean, it just, And that's the thing. So it should be very interesting. So what do you say the White Sox do this weekend if, like, with everything, with what we know right now, I guess?
Well, I don't want to jinx myself because I know I'm going to the game on Saturday, but I'm going to hope that the White Sox take advantage of bad pitching because you've got our two best pitchers are at least going to pitch. And, of course, the game that I'm going to, they don't have a pitching matchup. They don't have a pitcher announced. But I think if they can hit the bad mistakes that the pitchers leave up there in the zone, they'll do really well. I mean, they haven't played the Cardinals since the 2020 season, I'm pretty sure, and the 2020 season was pretty good against the Cardinals.
But
I really want to say they're going to win
4 home runs in one day or in a row. I think wasn't it back to back to back to back.
Yeah, it was. I want to say
Eloy,
Moncada, uh,
Moncada, Yaz, and Abreu.
Grandal, and Breu. Yep. Yeah, but I think the White Sox win 2 out of 3. I want to say they win 2 out of 3. I hope they win the game that I'm at on Saturday, so that way I can at least say, hey, we went to a winner. I
I
am
mean,
1-0. I went to the
I'll
Oscar
take it.
Colas walk off against the Orioles on April 15th. So
Oh,
I just want to be 2-0 on the season, then soon to be 3-0. I just want them to win when I'm there. I'm going to be happy with it. I'm sad I don't get to see Giolito or Dylan Cease, but we're going to have to see. But I think they win 2 out of 3 against the Cardinals, unless the Cardinals just go obliterate all the balls that White Sox pitching leaves up. That's the problem. Good teams take the mistakes of the opponent and they take advantage of it. That's how you win baseball games.
yeah. And that's the problem with the White Sox. I said it on Tuesday when I was there. And it makes me so mad that I can call these things. Anderson hit that triple. I'm like, hell yeah, we're excited. Everybody's like, we're going to score. I'm like, watch, we're not. Because Robert went up and it's like, how do you, like I say it all the time, how do the White Sox make it look so hard to score a run? But teams like the Orioles or teams that like even the Athletics, they got a guy over, they got a base hit, he's in, it's 1-0. It's like, why is it so hard? And why are these guys pressing so much to the point where it's just like, get the guy over, get him in, call it a day. We get a run. It's 1-0. It's like, it's not that complicated. And I've heard it a lot. I feel like a lot of these guys are playing for like individuals, and it's like, we see them get together sometimes and everything, but then again, you don't. And that's the biggest thing. So yes, they got to take advantage of it. They got to figure it out. And the last time they did play the Cardinals, it was 2020. And if everybody forgets about that 2020 season with the Cardinals, they were the COVID Cardinals. So we saw guys like Tyler O'Neill come out of nowhere. I forgot who the heck else was on that team, but I remember me and my cousin that year, he stayed at my house a lot, and he'd be like, oh, look, the COVID Cardinals are on. And so that was the last time that we played the Cardinals, just so everybody, in case everybody forgets. Sometimes people forget. But, I mean, it should be
Tino, I do want to say a good point. As we're going into this series, it looks like Tim Anderson is heating up.
Yes.
I'm always going to be a Tim Anderson lover.
Always.
For what he's done, to whatever happens off field, that's his own personal business. That's all I'm going to leave it at that. But just Tim Anderson is finally starting to hit the ball. Granted, yes, George Springer dropped the ball, but he still hustled. And everyone's like, oh, he didn't hustle the ball hard enough. The ball was going foul, and he caught it in fair, or tried to catch it in fair territory, and it bounced off. So that's why Tim ended up at third. But he was hustling his butt out of the box, and once he saw it, he was beating it around. So Tim Anderson is coming around. I'm gonna stand pat and defend Tim Anderson till the day I die. Granted, people can think whatever they want about him. But this team does go with Tim Anderson as well as he goes. Luis Robert can't carry us. Eloy is starting to heat up. I feel like every ball that Eloy hits is over 110 miles per hour lately.
Yeah, but always
he's finally getting the power. Yeah, so it's the team is starting to heat up, but I hope that Oakland wasn't the final nail in the coffin. But when you have that second half schedule, the Braves, the Mets, the Twins, the Cubs, and then the Guardians, that's what you have to prove before you get into this trade deadline. Otherwise, they're going to have to trade. Yeah. And we're going to have to say they did what they needed to do. And if they don't trade, we're just going to say Giolito's going to walk. I hope he stays. I know how much he loves the Southside. I know what he does for the Southside. I know how much he talks about loving Chicago and everything that he does. His dad is so cool to follow on Twitter. His dad defends him to the day, to whatever end, and it's just that entire family. Jake Berger is so good. Him and his wife are so nice. They do so much for the community. That's the cool thing about this team, is there's so many good people that care about the community that they're in, that they would hate to leave. And as much as Bob Nightingale says, it's just a toxic environment. Bob, are you even there? Like, where are you? Like, call out these sources. That's what I want to know. As a former journalist, I hate unnamed sources, but it's just like, call it out. Just say, he's like, I'd be surprised if 6 guys are on the team.
Yeah.
It was like Lucas Giolito, Joe Kelly, Kendall Graveman. I listened to it too. And I was just like, Bob, I love that you're being so honest. And I love that you're saying the things that we are saying, but it's just, you have to understand what's going through these players' heads. They're trying. That's all I can at least say. Everyone's going to say, oh, Bogues is just on there defending him, saying they're trying. No, I mean, imagine how it would be if you were put in that situation. They're trying, and it's such a difficult situation to perform when management isn't giving them the tools to succeed.
Well, exactly. And that's the thing. It's like I say, like, these guys, it's not like that they want to do this. Like we talked about Moncada. Moncada would be out there if he wanted to. And yes, I definitely get, and I definitely see like Moncada and his chains and his dancing and his music and all that other stuff. But when you see Moncada good, you guys, like, like we've seen, I think we've seen the potential of every single one of these guys, except they just all haven't done it at the same exact time. Where we've seen
Yep.
Eloy go on a tear, we're seeing Robert go on a tear, we saw Anderson go on a tear, we saw Moncada go on a tear, we've seen Yaz go on a semi tear where he's and Yaz is good for certain things like walks and et cetera, et cetera. And I don't know about you, but I'm tired of watching
Not defense.
Yeah, not defense that much, but I mean,
That's why Seppi's in.
Yeah, it just I can't deal with Sebi Zavala. Listen, Sebi sometimes, but like it's set with Sebi, it's either a Sebi Zavala game or it's a Sebi Zavala 0 for 5 game, 5 strikeouts, and he's mad at life, and then he's trying to get the to do something. And it just like listen.
But you have to think about it in a different way. He's out there for defense. He's out there for his positioning on the plate. Because I mean, he's second on the team in defensive runs saved. Obviously, number one is Luis Robert, and I think they're the only two who have a positive run saves on defense.
Oh, I'm sure.
With that, that's why he's out there. I'd rather him be out there than Yaz letting a ball go past him, and then look, a run comes around. I'd rather him be out there then.
Yeah, that's a very good point too with that, where it's just and it's like can we just morph them in together? Like that would be great. Like just have like Yaz Zavala or something like that. That would be perfect. Sebi's defense with Yaz's walk and everything, So I mean, it's just one of those things. But I am going to agree with you. I didn't even give my predictions for the Cardinals, but I'm going to agree with you 2 out of 3. The best case scenario, and you just mentioned all 5 of those teams that the White Sox play after the trade deadline. It's either, and it's funny because we're
before
talking
the trade
about
deadline.
This, or before the trade deadline, after the All-Star break. My bad, after the All-Star break. I don't even know what's going on anymore, bro. There's so much stuff on right now. I'm like trying to keep track with the wrestling and everything. But after the All-Star game and before the trade deadline, before we get into August, it would be such a White Sox thing to do, to have them go on a decent little run, give us hope, do something at the trade deadline, and then whatever the hell happens in August and September happens. And that's like the only thing I'm like kind of having a little hope for. But again, like I've kind of gotten to the point where it is what it is, and I can't let myself get upset because I have so much anxiety, so much I get upset when they lose. It just ruins my day. It's just like I've tried to not let it get to me. And Justin tells me all the time, he's like, bro, don't let it ruin your day. But it's just like I want to see the team succeed so bad. And like that moment when Robert caught the ball and when they won the division, or when like there's certain moments that just like it's like I just want to have that feeling and just like, So
the White Sox bring out the weirdest things in me, and it's like so much hope and so much optimism, but then so much pain and so much misery, depression.
So much, like I have all
it
this
makes zero sense.
I have all this hope and excitement like right now, and then probably by like 5 o'clock, if it's not going good, it's like I just hate life and I just want it to be over. And then when the second game starts, it all starts over again. So I mean, it's just going to be interesting to see what happens, and hopefully they play good against the Cardinals like they did last time, and they can go out on the All-Star break on a good note, because at least for the first time in a little bit of period of time, I feel like White Sox fans have a reason to watch the All-Star game. So now that we don't have, usually what we do here is we cover the weekend series, and then we cover like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever series is next. But they don't play until next Friday, which I think is actually Deech's birthday. I think.
Oh, nice.
That. So hopefully Deech will be able to be here. Hopefully he's not pre-gaming too hard next Thursday. But next Friday, they play the Braves. And you said, who did they play the next two? It's the Braves and then the
Mets, and then at the Twins, and then Cubs, and then Guardians.
Okay. So it's going to be two teams right out of the gate that, it's going to be the Braves are the Braves. They've been very good and everything like that. But before we get to the Braves and all that, we're going to have 4 days off where we don't have so much pain in our lives. We can maybe get through a week. And we got the All-Star game. So I want to go through the All-Star rosters, the home run derby bracket, and everything else. And then we'll talk a little bit about the All-Star game. And then we'll say goodbye and get ready to watch game 1 of the doubleheader. So let's go over these rosters real quick because I have these pictures. So let's hope. And we have the elective starters. We got the reserves, we got the relievers and the pitchers, and these are for the National League. So I'm going to read the starters, and then I'm going to read the reserves. If you guys want, I guess I'll just read it all. That's okay. So anyway, but let's just go through all of it, everybody. These starters for the National League is Sean Murphy from the Braves, Freddie Freeman from the Dodgers, Luis Rise. I will say that at least we don't have to see him 18 times or 12 times a year anymore. We got you talked about him, Nolan Arenado. Can't speak. Orlando Arcia. I traded for this guy in MLB this year. I put him in right field because I couldn't deal with a right fielder anymore. We got a Ronald Acuna Jr., Mookie Betts,
MVP.
Corbin Carroll, rookie of the year. I just give it to him at this point. MVP might be Shohei Ohtani, though, after the way Shohei is doing what he's doing. I don't know.
That'd be American League, though.
Oh, yeah, you're right. True. Hey, you're right on that. Well, hey, I always forget that there's like two different MVPs. I always think it's like NFL MVP. I'm like, that's right. They do two. Anyway, we got JD Martinez. JD, I forgot was even, I forgot he played baseball until the Sox played the Dodgers. It's like, okay, then. The Dodgers also have a reserve in Will Smith. We have Elise Diaz for the Rockies, Matt Olson from the Braves, Ozzie Albies from the Braves, Austin Riley from the Braves. I'd love to be the Braves right now. And ex-Brave, Darby Swanson on our rival Cubs. Pete Alonso, he will be competing in the home run derby. We got how do you say this guy's name?
Lourdes Gurriel.
The dude's brother from the Astros, guys. In case anybody didn't know. Nick Castellanos from the Phillies, Juan Soto from the Padres. Juan Soto's been another very big disappointment. Should say Juan Soto, I should say just the Padres in general. And then we got Jorge Soler, another guy that, thank goodness that he's not on the Royals anymore, but he still beat us when that was another series the White Sox couldn't take advantage of. And don't get me wrong, the Marlins are a great young team. They beat the Cardinals. They did what they had to do last night. But the White Sox should have swept the Marlins. I'm just saying. Anyway, the pitchers for the National League. We got Zach Gallen, Spencer Strider. I don't know how to say
Strider.
The
mustache man himself.
I have such a hard time pronouncing some of these guys' names. I'm like, well, I'll try, but I get most of them wrong. We got Justin Steele from the Cubs. Boo, we don't like the Cubs. Mitch Keller from the Pirates. Joshua Gray. Josiah Gray.
Josiah Gray, yep.
We got Clayton Kershaw. It looks like he did not play, or he was a replacement. Oh, he's inactive to play is what it is. We got Marcus Stroman. And then as the pitchers for the NL, we got Alex Diaz, Josh Hader, Devin Williams, Camilo Doval, and David Bednar. So that is the full National League team. And now let's go through the American League team. And let's hope I do this a little bit quicker because, But we got, for the starters for the American League, we got Johan Heim. And this guy, all of a sudden, I think we pissed him off after we won that one game against the Rangers that we shouldn't probably have won, but we did anyway, which I'll take because I have no sympathy for these teams that have any type of problems because we have had too many types of problems go on with us. We got Yandy Diaz from the Rays, Marcus Semien from the Rangers, Josh Jung from the Rangers, Corey Seager from the Rangers. Mike Trout will be injured, so he will not be playing. Randy, how do you say? I can't. Arozarena, bro. Every time I say his name, it's like I can say it, and then it's like I mess it up, and then I need to hear Randy Arozarena from the Rays. Aaron Judge will not play because he's injured. We have Shohei Ohtani as the DH, and then the reserves. We got Salvador Perez. I wish we could. I wish we could have Rutschman as our catcher. I'd take that all day long. Just just trade away them all for give me Adley. We got Vlad Guerrero. I don't like you, Vlad Guerrero. We got Whit Merrifield. I don't like you, Whit Merrifield. We got Bo Bichette. I don't like you either, Bo Bichette. Jose Ramirez. Either do I. I don't like you either. We got Wander Franco. And then we got the one representative from the Chicago White Sox, Luis Robert Jr., the only guy that really does deserve it. Woohoo! We got Austin Hayes from the Orioles, Yonder Alvarez, Adolis Garcia, Kyle Tucker, Julio Rodriguez, Brent Rucker, I'm sure he scored a run last week, and I forget. I didn't even know, bro. I didn't even know who those guys were on the A's last week. I just saw them keep killing it. I was just like, okay, then. Shohei Ohtani will be able to pitch too. We got Garrett Cole, Luis Castillo, Sonny Gray, Nathan Eovaldi, Kevin Gausman, Shane McCallahan, Fremder Valdez, Michael Lorenzo, and the fact that he made it with the stats that he has, and last year Dylan Cease didn't make it is a crime. We got George Kirby. We got Kenley Jensen on the American League side this time. Yes, he's now in the American League. Emmanuel Clase, Felix Batista, and Urinin Cano. Well, hey,
Yep.
so there's the All-Star rosters. So before we get to the home run derby, I know the home run derby is before the All-Star game, but do you usually watch the All-Star game, or do you just like me? I love the introductions more than anything, and then by like the fifth inning of the game, I'm kind of like, I don't know.
I mean, I love watching the All-Star game because then in the late innings you get to see some of the White Sox players who play. And I mean, the only reason Michael Lorenz is in there is because each team has to have a representative,
Oh
and
yeah, no,
that's
I
that's
know.
about it. Yeah, no, I know, but I just was saying that for everyone else. But I mean, I love the AL roster. Jonah Heim, he's my starting DH in my fantasy league. Josh Young has been really good for the Texas Rangers. He could be Rookie of the Year for the American League. Corey Seager, Mike Trout, and Aaron Judge not playing definitely means Luis Robert would probably be starting in the outfield.
You would
Jordan
think, right?
Alvarez is in. I think it would be I think he's the first White Sox outfielder to start in an All-Star game. I think it's since 1960. I think that's what Nick Morawski said on Locked On this
Sick.
morning. But which is insane. But I love this AL roster. I love everything about it. Even the NL roster, I love Sean Murphy. I love Will Smith. I love it all. I'm so excited for this game. You've got so much star power. Granted, it is the All-Star game, but you've got so much star power. But also guys who are there for the first time. I think it's like 16 first-time players in this game, which
Yeah.
is so cool that anyone gets to experience this. And it's going to be really cool to see if Luis Robert gets to start the game, and just to showcase, hey, not everyone knows about Luis Robert. White Sox fans have been hyping him up for a while, but he's finally starting to make a name for himself with him staring at his stick, and it's gonna be so much fun.
Man, I love that you keep giving me the segues, man. Because speaking of home runs, let's talk about this home run derby. Because well, before I get to home run derby, what do you think the prediction is for the game? What do you think the final score is?
There's no way to predict the.
I feel like there isn't, but I figured I'd ask. Yeah, did you ever try that thing on MLB.com where they have you like predict the score, and if you get it right, you win like $1 million?
Yeah, I would clearly not be here if I had $1 million. I would be in Chicago, probably in a better apartment and living my dream there. But no, I mean, there's no way to predict it. I don't understand how people bet the All-Star game.
It's so funny.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of fun. But I mean, I'm really more excited. I'm probably will actually bet the home run derby just because I want Luis Robert versus Pete Alonso in the championship.
Oh, it'd be so good. So let's take a look at that home run derby bracket, because as I just said, how did Luis Robert end up as the number one? When was the last time the White Sox had a number one anything in anything? Like, so we got Luis Robert taking on Rutschman, as Rutschman is the 8th seed. We got Adolis Garcia taking on Randy. We got Vlad Guerrero taking on Mookie Betts. And then we got Julio Rodriguez taking on Pete Alonso. And isn't that a matchup of the last two winners of the home run derby?
Are you talking about Pete and J-Rod?
Yeah.
Well, Pete's won it the last 2 years, but I know that J-Rod and him made it in the final. I think that's why they made Pete the number 2 seed, so that way he could face J-Rod in the first round. These first round matchups are sick.
Bro, they are. So let me ask you, while we're looking at this, who are you? I know you said you want Pete and Robert, but as you're looking at this, what do you think will be? Do you think that's what happens? Is Pete and Robert just looking at this the way it's set up?
You have to think that, but I wouldn't be surprised if Adolis Garcia makes it into the final over Luis Robert. I think that semifinal matchup of Luis Robert versus Adolis Garcia, no offense to Randy and Adley, but those Adolis Garcia, I mean, it says his name, Adolis. He's basically a Greek god, is the way his body is built. His thighs are like as big as some people's bodies. It's just the man is built different. Same with Luis Robert. Pete Alonso versus J-Rod. I could see J-Rod coming out and just knocking him out, because being in Seattle, being the hometown kid there, well, the home player team there, that the whole crowd could be behind him. I could see J-Rod upsetting Pete Alonso, but I'm pick Pete Alonso to go ahead. And Mookie and Vlad Guerrero. I don't know what the hate is against Vlad Guerrero Jr. I love Vladdy G. I love Vlad Guerrero Jr. so much. He's been my starting first baseman the last 3 years in fantasy baseball. I loved his dad, the head, shoulders, knees, and toes of his dad. And Vlad Guerrero put on a show a few years ago against Pete Alonso, and just it was so much fun. I think that's why they stacked the bracket this way, is just if Pete makes it forward, then he plays Vlad again. I'm sorry, Mookie. I'd love for you to make it further. I love all these players I love, and I wouldn't be mad if any of them won, but I really want Luis Robert Jr. to make it all the way through. I am going to say Luis Robert is going to have the chance to shine, and he's going to put on a show, but I'm going to say Pete Alonso wins his third straight and beats Luis Robert Jr.
That's I like it. So that's the thing, man. The home run derby will be interesting, and I definitely like the new way that they do it. It's definitely a little bit better. It goes by quick. It's fun. It's enjoyable. It's a good 2.5 hours, whatever that is. It is on Monday night, so we will be live for everybody in the chat and everybody that's here. We will be live for Monday Night Raw, and then we'll watch the home run derby on the side like we do all the time. So come and hang out, watch the home run derby on Monday. And then we'll be live on Tuesday for the All-Star game in Seattle as we see everything like that. But I am going to agree with you on that with Pete and Alonso and Robert in the finals, just by the way of looking at it. But if there is one guy, I just want to put this up here right now. If there is one guy that I think possibly could be like a sneaky pick or that could possibly come out of nowhere, and I think it could be Vlad Guerrero. I think Vlad possibly could be that guy that possibly goes and possibly hits a bunch of home runs, because sometimes we do see crazy things. So I always say it's good to put it out there because, hey, if it happens, then it happens. So I'm going to say this, and again, nothing against Rutschman. I just don't know. Sometimes dude good in all-star games and some guys don't, and I just don't know how well they're going to do. So again, we can't really predict the future, but it shall be fun to see what happens. But yeah, I'm going to say Pete Alonso continues his run, and he just seems to have so much fun. He just seems to go there, and it's a party for him. He's having a good time. He's drinking Gatorade. He's hitting home runs, and it's like a payday for this guy. He's like, I just make more money at the home run derby than I do in the regular season. And the way the Mets are going right now, this might be the most exciting thing for the Mets. And again, the White Sox aren't doing that good, but as much money as the Mets spent, they probably should be a lot better than what they are. So we shall see what happens on Monday and Tuesday, but then we'll be off Wednesday and Thursday in baseball. All right, there's probably a game on Thursday, I think. Usually there's like one game.
There's a few games on Thursday, yeah.
So they'll be back on Thursday, but then the White Sox will be back on Friday, and we'll be back here next week to cover the Braves and who'd you say? Who do we play after the Braves? I keep forgetting.
The Mets, then at the Twins, then back home against the Cubs, and then back home against the Guardians.
I keep getting confused with the Mets. And anyway, so we'll be back here to preview the Mets and the Braves. Hopefully we'll have Deech and Justin back. But man, I think we've covered almost everything else. There is one more thing I did want to cover. We still got a couple more minutes before the game starts. I did want to take a second and talk about this quote from the Nationals coach and everything that happened. I took it, off my own social media because I couldn't find it off the regular thing. And if you did not see, guys, this man, LED Cruz, is just been phenomenal this year. And they went and the Nationals wanted them to check his bat because he was whatever. And then he came up and hit a home run. So, Drew, how do you feel about this? And what do you think about like a team like the Reds, man? The Reds are on fire. The Reds are killing it. They're supposed to be what the White Sox were. Like the Orioles were supposed to be like the Diamondbacks. Who saw the Diamondbacks do being good this year? I don't think anybody did. But how do you feel about this? And like we talked about like these younger guys. Like, do you think this is just I think this is just how these guys are nowadays.
Yeah, and I like how they are nowadays. Throwing their bat up, just having a good time, just slamming their bat. They're just showing their personality, and that's the problem with the older generation of baseball fans. They all think you're just supposed to be able to drop the bat and take a jog around first base when you hit a home run. No, have some fun with it. If you're in the show and you get paid what you get paid to put on a show, people are there to watch you have fun at a baseball game. That's the problem with the older generation. They're all like, "Oh, I want to go back to the game that I used to love." It's still the same game. It's just more fun. That's what the baseball needs to embrace these kids. Ellie De La Cruz is really putting on a two-horse race for him and Corbin Carroll to be Rookie of the Year. I'm so happy for Ellie De La Cruz. He's so much fun to watch. He puts so much power into the bat. He legs out singles in the infield, and he hit for the cycle. Just Dave Roberts, just shut your mouth. Just stop trying to put this dude down and just let him be him. He's not one of your players. Just shut your mouth. It's like when Tony La Russa was mad at you and Mercedes for swinging 3-0. Who cares? If you want him to not beat you and not celebrate, pitch to him better. That's my stance on that. Let the players play and let them have fun. It's the dumbest thing in baseball of this is the way it's always been. Yeah, the way it's always been is the most terrible excuse for anything, for every single thing in life, baseball, sports, every single thing. The way it's always been is not always the right way. Times change. Players are showing their personality. Let them have fun. Because if not, you're just going to drive away people from the game, and you're going to have a bunch of old dudes who are sitting there in their rocking chairs watching the game, and then they're going to be like, oh, this is the game that I love. No one's going to watch it. You're just going to push fans away. Let them have fun.
Exactly.
Just ridiculous.
That's the no fun league. It's like the NFL, the no fun league. Let's have some fun, and that's what it's all about. Like I always say, like a lot of the guys are like my age. I'm like they're young. They're like so it's like it's one of those things that it's just like sometimes you gotta like see and like you just gotta have some fun because that's the only way to enjoy it, especially with a long season, 162 games and everything else like that. So I just wanted to get your opinion on that because it was something that majorly happened in baseball. And, we got to cover sometimes other things besides the White Sox here, guys, on the Southside boys. Much we love the White Sox. We got to see what else is going on in the baseball world. So the last thing I do want to do here before we do go and before we get ready to watch this doubleheader is let's go through the chat. Let's see if anybody's got any good questions to ask. But I see Drew in the chat. He said, smash that like button. I appreciate it. Thanks, man. We got above the ring in the show. He said, what's up? Let's go, Tino. Hey, I appreciate it. Eric, I appreciate it. He says, Tino. Hey, we got to give Drew some love. Where's the Drew chance at? Come on. Hey, what's up, AJ? We got Hassan in the building. Hey, you see, he's not on the show, but he still comes in the chat. What's up, Deech? How you doing? They do play down to their opponent. He says, Eric says, sell the team, Reinsdorf. I think we've all said that.
Yes, we have.
If anybody has that shirt, they should burn it.
The Believe in Han shirt,
yep,
the How We Trust.
Yeah. What's up, Eric? Eric, man, I don't like Eric. Eric texted me after I left the game and tagged me on the Vlad Guerrero home run and said, Happy 4th of July, Tino. I said, I don't like you. Why'd you got to do that to me, Eric, bro? That wasn't nice. Deech says, Ham the con. That's true. We are not trading Robert to the Astros. You are on crazy juice, whatever you're smoking, Mr. Eric. Nope. You're not getting Luis Robert and Jose Abreu just because before Rick Hahn was employed. You're funny. We got a lot of wrestling questions, guys. Remember, we will be live for Friday Night SmackDown tomorrow. So leave all those questions for tomorrow. So just ask some baseball questions if you guys got any. If not, then keep them for tomorrow. Cardinals, White Sox this weekend. We got Jacob in the house, big Cardinals fan. Jacob, we are not friends starting Friday, but then we could be friends on Sunday after the game. We got Yonder Alvar. Oh, Yonder. SmackDown is tomorrow. Drew does not watch wrestling, so Drew doesn't have any idea what's going on. He said he watched all the stuff back in the day with like Rock and Austin, I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I know that SmackDown's on Fridays and Raw's on Monday. I understand the dates, and I mean, I'll watch a good wrestling match. I don't watch it every day. It's just I'll watch whenever I can.
Yeah.
Oh, hey,
there's so much
Deech,
of it
thanks
on
for
now.
the comment there, man.
Huh?
Yeah, no, I agree. Southside Deech saying I'm doing a good job filling in. Nah, Deech, I'm just keeping your seat warm, dude.
Hey,
keeping it warm.
Hey, Deech, we might have to be in discussion on contract talks after this episode. Hey, I don't know.
I Ellie Daver cruised him.
He said he Ellie. Hey, maybe. The Nationals blow. They are everybody's trying not to be the Nationals, the team that sucked the year they won the World Series and then just come back. Like I had that little bit of hope, a little bit, but then it just kind of faded away. We got my guy Jadis in the house. Jadis, I appreciate you coming by, but he says F baseball, and Jadis just doesn't like baseball, and he just wants to talk about Roman Reigns and the tribal chief and all that fun stuff. I mean, but there's so much wrestling on, you couldn't even be able to keep track. Like, I don't even know how I keep track. Like, I try to watch as much as I can of it, and there's just too much of it. So,
yeah.
Listen, Deech. What's over, the show or the season? I mean, maybe both. Listen, Jadis. Listen, bro. I don't want to hear your listen, Jadis. This is why I'm not going live tonight, because you guys are all mean. We are not trading Robert. Robert's the only guy that's left on this team that was good. That's good that we have any type of hope for. But my fourth
untradeable.
Untradeable. So before we do go, again, I do have a few more things I want to do, because, guys, if you guys have been around and you guys have been seeing, Tino's Tom and the Southside boys has merch coming your way. So Deech was nice enough, and since today is the Southside Boys episode and the merch will be coming out next week, I wanted to show you guys a little preview of all types of designs that Deech made so you guys can get ready. Get your pockets ready, get your orders ready, and let's get ready for some Southside Boys merch. And then next week, we'll be showing you guys, before we get it all set up, the Tino's Time merch. And Michelle, I've not forgotten about your 1,000 subscriber t-shirt or figure. The figure's still here. We're still waiting on these t-shirts, bro. I've been waiting on these t-shirts for like 3 weeks. It's been like awful. I hate shipping. And then it's all, they always say, oh, due to COVID. Bro, it's 2023. What are we doing over here? He says.
Exactly.
He says, my podcast career. Deech, it was a good run, bro. You lasted 17 episodes.
Nope, buddy. I'm just keeping your seat warm.
Deech, shut up, bro. You'll be back next week. But Chicago Bears, yes, I know. Bears, White Sox, every team I root for sucks in general. But anyway, you know what doesn't suck? This merchandise. So, guys, let's take a look at all the designs that Deech was nice enough to make and that you guys need to get your hands on. Hey, there we go. Oh, I didn't.
Oh, that's fire.
Hey, there we go.
I can see it.
Okay, well, there was a beginning thing he did. I don't know why it showed up like this, but hey, guys, here you go. We got sweatshirts. We got t-shirts. We got different types of designs. Deech made some of these. Women, you got girls, you guys can get them too. Make sure we get your wife a couple t-shirts, we'll get you a sweatshirt, all that good stuff. But Deech was nice enough. He made a Robert one for the All-Star game and everything like that. So that's just some of the designs that we got coming your way, guys, for the Southside Boys and Tino's Time. As I said, Tino's Time merchandise will be coming out soon, 1,000 subscribers, t-shirt and everything else like that. So, Drew, I want to say thank you for coming on here and joining me for this episode of the Southside Boys, taking over for Deech and Justin. It was a fun time, and we'll definitely have you back on when all three of us are here, and we could all four of us talk, because I think that would be a pretty good time. So, Drew, if you want to let everybody know where they can go find you on social media, let everybody know where they, if you got any content, you got anything you want anybody to go and follow, this is your time to let everybody know about Drew.
Yeah, just follow me. Where am I pointing? There I am, right? Follow me on Twitter right there. That's my Twitter handle. You can find me on all the socials, Instagram, TikTok. I love making TikToks. Took a week off just because of the holiday, and I was like, I'm just gonna take a week off from.
They're so funny.
I'm glad you love my TikToks. So hey, go follow me on TikTok. They're a lot of fun. But awesome. You see me at the ball game on Saturday. Come say hi. I'll be there with my wife. My wife's an introvert. I'm the extrovert, so we're the perfect yin and yang. So you'll see me talking, and she'll just be sitting there. But no, thanks for letting me come on, Tino. It was a good time. And go White Sox. Let's sweep this doubleheader. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's go, man. Thank you so much. And like I said, definitely got to have you on. And it was a good time. And like I said, keep in touch and have to get you on. So yeah, thank you so much, man. I'll talk to you soon.
No problem. Deuces.
See ya. Well, guys, that was Drew, and that was the Southside Boys episode for today. So I want to thank you guys all so much for coming here, hanging out. White Sox game does start in 8 minutes. But before we do go, Deech is in the chat, but Deech was also nice enough to leave us a little video, about a 2 or 3 minute video. So before I end this stream, we're going to end the episode, and I'm going to take myself out, and we're going to listen to what Deech has to say about what his thoughts are and what his thoughts have been about the last week in baseball and everything else in between. So, guys, I'm going to say goodbye until tomorrow for Friday Night SmackDown. We got another episode of a 2K video coming out very soon today, so go and check that out. I think it's at like 5 o'clock I set it for. I forget. I set it up like last week. So make sure you guys go and check out all that good stuff. Remember to go follow all the social medias on Tino's Time, SoundCloud, and Spotify. Actually, we are not on SoundCloud anymore, so I got to take that off. We're now only on Spotify, so make sure to go follow us on Spotify. Tino's Time Wrestling on Instagram and Facebook. Tino's Time 1996 on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. Tino's Gaming 2023 on Twitch. And finally, guys, the Southside Boys 23. I showed you guys the merch. Go follow us as well on the road to 1,000 on Twitter. Remember also to become a member of the channel, as we're starting membership-only live streams very soon. We are also going to be beginning, and we'll be starting all that good stuff. So you want to be a part of it, become a member of the channel, leave a super chat and all that good stuff. And also, before I do go, I do have one big announcement tonight. So make sure you guys keep a lookout around 7 o'clock as I make an announcement that we'll be doing here on Tino's Time next week, starting next week, as we are now on the road to SummerSlam. So, guys, get excited. It's going to be a good day. Let's get some wins as White Sox fans. We got 5 minutes. So, for the last 3 minutes of the episode before the game does start, let's take a look at what Deech has to say. And, guys, I hope you guys all have a great Thursday, and I will see you guys all tomorrow night for Friday Night SmackDown. So, Deech, take over the last 3 minutes of the show.
What's up, everyone? I just figured I'd throw my 2 cents in since I won't be able to make it to the episode today, as I will be finishing up work, and then I'm heading directly to Guaranteed Rate Field. I don't know why. This team is rather frustrating to sit and watch. I was there on the 4th, and every time we get momentum, it just something happens where we blow it in late in games, and it's just becoming very wearing to sit and watch over and over and over again as a fan. So, congratulations, Elise Robert. He finally seems to have reached that potential that we were told over and over again that he was going to reach. He has going to be a first-time All-Star and has decided to enter the home run derby. So praise to that guy. He really he had a struggle earlier in the season. I don't know if he worked with the coaching staff, who to specifically, but I mean, he has completely turned it on and has become a monster and threat at the plate that most pitching staffs should definitely be concerned about. In regards to the GM, Rick Hahn should be fired immediately. This is a joke. I watched or listened to the White Sox Talk podcast where Bob Nightingale was talking to Chuck and pretty much relayed that 6 players are pretty much guaranteed to be traded, and insinuated it would most likely be 3 from the rotation and 3 from the bullpen. Your window has essentially closed, Rick Hahn. I mean, I guess we can keep him around for the deadline to do what he... People, again, are being overzealous and thinking what he's actually going to be able to sit and get with these players. This isn't however many years ago when you just sat and flipped a guy and got a ridiculous return. I am not getting overly excited about that. There was mention of the clubhouse and how players seem to be a little bit disgruntled in the sense of they're not winning. I mean, the culture and everything that has been created and promised, and I mean, it's just not what we were told. And I don't know specifically how Jerry Reinsdorf feels, but at a certain point, it just Rick Hahn asked for this rebuild, and Jerry Reinsdorf granted it to him, and it's against Jerry Reinsdorf's nature to want to go for something like that. So he was given that opportunity and gave him 2 years of a window, to which we got 1 playoff win. I mean, they just need to start winning. There's really no winning makes all of the other things go away. So start winning ball games. And Tino and the Southside boys have this episode covered. I believe Drew is also going to be on the show. So thank you, Drew, for filling in. And hopefully I go see 2 wins. I'm hoping to just see 1, but let's get 2.